Okay, let's unpack this then. Looking at SE in practice, using this, well, fascinating AI tool called SERT.
The Street Epistemology Reasoning Trainer.
Yeah, and we've got two main sources here. The first one explains how someone basically stumbled into this chance to practice SE with the AI, which wasn't expected.
Right, and the second source is the actual transcript of that practice. So SERT, the AI, is playing the role of the person holding the belief.
Okay, so our mission really is to see SE in action through this AI simulation.
And also to explore how AI like this might actually help us, get better at these kinds of conversations about beliefs, improve our communication skills.
Right, so that first source, it sets the scene. A user was using SERT, trying to get a handle on the reasoning behind some vaccine skepticism.
Specifically claims that vaccines contain things like HIV and graphene oxide.
Yeah, pretty charged stuff. And SERT had just laid out, what, 9 different reasoning types people use?
9 types, yeah, and 3 SE questions that would be relevant to that specific topic.
Which is pretty useful in itself, right? An AI mapping out reasoning styles.
Definitely. Gives you insight into the landscape of these beliefs.
But then came the surprise. SERT just offered something else. It said, let me know if you'd like to go deeper into any of these reasoning types or practice responding as a street epistemologist in a dialogue scenario.
And the source points out this wasn't like a pre-programmed button they clicked. It was an emergent offer.
Exactly. Not explicitly programmed.
That's really interesting. It suggests maybe a more adaptive design. It's not just feeding information. It's anticipating the user might want to actually try this stuff out.
Yeah, moving from just learning about it to actually, doing it, experiential learning.
Right.
So naturally, the user said yes, took the offer.
Which leads us straight into our second source, the dialogue itself.
And the person sharing this transcript, they had a couple of main goals, right?
Yeah. First, just to show SE in action. How these kinds of careful, non-pushy questions can actually get someone thinking about why they believe something.
Without making them feel attacked or getting defensive.
Exactly. And maybe even starting to reconsider things, naturally.
And the second goal
Was really about SERT itself, showing its potential as like an AI training partner for SE.
a safe space to practice these tricky conversations.
Right. You can hone your listening, figure out how to phrase questions, spot hidden assumptions.
All before you have that conversation for real, where, let's face it, emotions can run pretty high.
Definitely. A low-stakes practice environment.
Okay, so let's dive into that practice session then. Source number 2.
All right. The setup is the user is the street epistemologist.
And SERT, the AI, is playing someone who believes that, quote, vaccines contain harmful substances like HIV and graphene oxide.
Okay. And SERT, as the believer, starts off pretty directly.
Yeah, it says, I just don't trust vaccines anymore. I've read that they contain things like graphene oxide and even traces of HIV. That sounds dangerous to me.
So a clear statement of belief and the emotion attached to it, danger.
And the user's first move, as the SE practitioner, they ask, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that vaccines contain these substances?
Classic SE opening, the confidence scale.
And the AI, SERT, even in its feedback role, apparently recognized this immediately, called it a great SE tool.
Because it gets the person reflecting right away, but gently. It's not prove it. It's how sure are you?
Yeah, it avoids that immediate defensiveness, that backfire effect you can get when you just attack a belief head on.
Exactly. It's about the strength of the conviction, not attacking the claim itself initially.
So how confident was the AI persona?
It says, I'd say I'm around an 8. I've seen enough videos and articles that make me feel pretty sure, even if I'm not 100% certain.
An 8 out of 10, that's pretty confident.
It is. High confidence.
So the user follows up with, thank you, I'm wondering how you came to this conclusion.
Again, very SE, gentle, open-ended. The AI's feedback noted this too, focusing on the reasoning, not challenging the claim directly.
And the reasoning SERT provides.
It says, mostly from what I've seen online, there are some independent researchers and whistleblowers who've shown documents and even microscope images. They're not from the mainstream media, but they seem credible to me.
Ah, okay. So online sources, alternative researchers, whistleblowers, distrust of mainstream media, that paints a picture.
The very common picture in these kinds of belief structures.
So the user responds, mostly online, I see. Thank you for sharing. I'd like to know how to evaluate the credibility of the independent researchers. Can you tell me how you came to trust them?
Nice move. shifting focus gently.
Yeah, the AI's feedback called it a beautiful move because it's moving towards epistemology, how the person knows what they claim to know, how they decide who's credible.
That's the core of SE, isn't it? Exploring the how.
Right. So, how did the AI persona decide these researchers were credible?
It says, well, they're not part of big pharmaceutical companies or government agencies, so I feel like they don't have anything to gain by lying.
Okay, so perceived a lack of conflict of interest.
They seem like regular people just trying to tell the truth. And some of them were doctors or scientists before they got silenced.
The silenced expert narrative
Yeah.
and the regular people appeal.
Yeah, it taps into that skepticism of large institutions and the sort of underdog appeal. People fighting the system.
Okay. Now, the user then asks again, thank you, I'm wondering how you came to trust them.
And interestingly, the AI feedback did note this was maybe a bit repetitive. Suggested a rephrasing might be better.
But the conversation kept going.
It did. SERT elaborated further on why it trusted them.
What did it add?
It said, I guess it's just the way they speak. They sound honest.
Okay. Perceived sincerity.
And they're taking risks to speak out, which makes me think they really believe what they're saying.
Risk equals credibility in this view.
Plus, a lot of what they say lines up with things I've seen happening around me.
Right. Confirmation bias. Seeing things that fit the narrative.
Exactly. So, sincerity, risk-taking, and confirmation bias are now on the table as reasons for trust.
So the user picks up on the sincerity point. They ask, is it possible to speak with someone who sounds honest and have them not be?
Oh, that's a good one. Subtle.
Yeah, the AI feedback apparently liked it too. Called it clear, respectful, and gently challenging the link between sounding honest and being truthful.
It probes that assumption without attacking the person's judgment directly. It just raises a possibility.
Does the AI persona concede the point?
It does, partly.
Yeah.
It says, yeah, I guess that's possible. People can sound convincing and still be wrong, or even lying.
Okay, an acknowledgement.
But I don't think that's what's happening here. These people really seem like they're onto something.
So a crack opens? Maybe, but the belief itself hasn't shifted much yet.
Which is typical, right? Belief change is usually gradual. SE aims to plant seeds of doubt, or rather, seeds of reflection on the reasons for belief. It's not about instant conversion.
Got it. Then the user does something really interesting. They bring back the scale.
Am I signing up for a channel, or am I trying to impress a herd of cows?
Click subscribe. It's cheaper than hay and twice as fun.
Ah, the confidence scale again?
Yeah, but they ask, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that someone speaking convincingly makes them right about what they're saying?
Oh, wow. Okay, that is clever. Applying the scale not to the main belief, but to one of the reasons given for the belief, the perceived sincerity factor.
Exactly. The AI feedback called this an advanced SE technique, focusing on the underlying assumption.
That's really drilling down into the epistemology. How much weight do you actually give to sounding convincing as evidence for truth?
So what number did the AI give this time? Remember, it was an 8 for the main belief.
For the link between sounding convincing and being right, it says, maybe like a 4?
A 4? That's a big drop.
Huge drop. It continues. I guess I don't really think that sounding convincing means someone is definitely right. It just makes me more likely to listen to them.
Okay, so the AI persona itself recognizes that sounding convincing isn't strong proof, only a 4 out of 10.
Right. Which sets up the user's next question beautifully.
What was that?
The user asks, thank you again for answering my questions. I'm wondering if a person rates someone sounding convincing as a 4 out of 10 for actually holding truth, is 8 out of 10 a reasonable place to be on the belief that vaccines contain these substances?
Connecting the dots, pointing at the potential mismatch.
Exactly. The AI feedback apparently called this a brilliant move because it encourages the AI persona to reconcile its own stated values. If sounding convincing is only a 4 in terms of reliability, should it be contributing so heavily to an 8 level of confidence in the main belief?
All without being aggressive or accusatory.
Precisely. It's guiding self-reflection.
And what was the final response from the AI persona in this snippet?
It shows a definite shift. It says, that's a good point. I hadn't really thought about it like that. Maybe I jumped to conclusions a bit.
Wow. An admission of potentially jumping to conclusions.
I guess if I'm only 4 out of 10 on trusting how convincing someone sounds, I should probably lower my 8 out of 10 belief, at least until I have more solid proof.
Lowering the confidence level based on its own reflection. That's powerful.
It is. And the AI feedback summarized it perfectly.
They You've just helped me reduce my confidence through reflection, not pressure. That's the core of effective SE.
Encouraging people to inspect their reasoning and let their confidence shift naturally.
That's it. A really clear demonstration. Okay, so, summing this up, key takeaways from this deep dive.
What if you could challenge what you believe and come out stronger? Start now at navigatingbeliefs.com.
We saw this unexpected chance to practice with an AI, SERT.
Which was fascinating in itself.
Then we walked through that practice session step by step, seeing the questioning techniques in action.
Yeah, the confidence scale, the focus on how, not just what, probing assumptions gently.
And we saw the AI both as the interlocutor and in its feedback, validating these techniques.
It really highlights the potential of this non-confrontational approach, focusing on curiosity, on understanding the reasons, rather than just winning an argument.
And it really underlines the potential for AI tools like SERT, doesn't it? As a kind of simulator, a safe place to practice these vital communication skills.
Absolutely. For anyone interested in critical thinking, better communication, understanding different viewpoints, this offers a way to practice navigating those complex, sometimes difficult conversations.
It connects right back to, your desire as a listener for knowledge, for understanding how people think and believe. SE seems like a really valuable tool for that.
It does. A tool for navigating information and conversations more thoughtfully.
So here's a final thought for you, the listener, to mull over. Think about a belief you hold pretty strongly.
Could be anything.
What are the real foundations of that belief for you? Not just what you believe, but why? What specific experiences, evidence, or reasoning led you there?
And then, think about how you might feel exploring those foundations. If someone asked you gentle, curious questions about how you arrived at that belief.
Could exploring your own how be insightful? And could you maybe use a similar approach, that gentle curiosity in your own conversations, to foster more understanding, both for others and maybe even for yourself?